the urinary tract infection. Urinary tract infection is an infection in any part of the urinary system, either the kidney, either ureterus, bladder, or urethra. And basically, this infection mainly involves in the lower urinary tract, the bladder, and the urethra. Women are at a greater risk of the developing UTI as compared to men. Now, the case study taken from a book, Pharmacy Case Study. In this, a 27-year-old woman come to the pharmacy having the prescription of nitrofurantoin tablet 50 mg QDS for 3 days. And she wants to talk with the pharmacist, and she told pharmacist that the general physician has tested his urine by urine dip method and diagnosed as a urinary tract infection, and she has a very discomfort in urination, having a burning sensation. General physician prescribed her Fe citrate tablet, which is Citralka, over-the-counter drug, while her friend also recommended her to purchase a cranberry extract, and she want to take advice. So in this video, we will interpret the relevant lab data, identify the monitoring criteria, and explain the treatment choices, what is the goal of therapy, role of pharmacist. Pharmacist should counsel the patient regarding the adverse effect of the drug-drug interaction, what will be the alternative therapies, and what will be the lifestyle modification which need to be taken by a patient. Now, what are the signs and symptoms? Just like other infections, urinary tract infection is also among them, in which there is a chance that symptoms may appear and there is a chance symptoms don't appear. However, usually patient consult to the doctor when the symptoms are there, and symptoms are all related to urinate, and symptom involve strong urge, persistent urge to urinate, a burning sensation to urinate, passing frequency and small amount of urine during urination. The urine appear cloudy, or the color of the urine become pink or cola red, or there is a sign of the presence of blood in the urine. The smell of the urine is changed, and back pain or pelvic pain. Symptoms may reflect which type of the part of the urinary tract is infected. For example, in case of acute polynephritis, symptoms are the upper back and side pain, high fever, chills and shaking, nausea and vomiting. While if the infection occurs in bladder, this is cystitis, and the pelvic pressure is increases, and urge to urination is increases, lower abdomen discomfort, frequent and painful urination, and there is a chance of blood in the urine. While in case of urethritis, there is burning sensation, and quickly there is too much discharge. So mostly there is a chance that the infection is either of cystitis and urethritis. Normally, urinary tract is sterile, and dipstick are used basically to detect the bacteriuria, that is the presence of the bacteria in the urine. And basically these sticks are based on the principle for that most of the urinary tract infection causing bacteria convert nitrate to the nitrite, or they act on the phenomena on the presence of the enzyme leukocyte which indicate the presence of the WBCs in the urinary tract. So on the basis of these two parameters, one can diagnose that the patient is suffering from the urinary tract infection. Where only one symptoms of or signs of the UTI is present, a dipstick positive for leukocyte or nitrite is basically related to the high probability of the bacteria. However, there is a chance that dipstick test may be negative for the leukocyte and nitrite, and this is associated with the low probability or low type of the bacteriuria. There is an exception that a study was conducted on a younger woman, and with the history of the symptoms, and that is they have dysuria and they have the frequency of increased urination. However, their dipstick test is negative both for leukocyte esterase and nitrites, and the patient were treated with the trimethoprim, and it reveals that it shortens the symptoms of the, or it decreases the symptoms of the urinary tract infection. If urine culture is very less and acute cystitis is there, the patient of the cystitis can be easily and safely treated with the over-the-counter product, and the duration of the intake of the medicine is usually less than 2 days. And this type of prescription is for the non-pregnant women and mild type of cystitis. Majority of this over-the-counter product contain potassium salt or sodium salt, just like sodium citrate or potassium citrate or any other sodium salts, which basically alkalinize the urine. This alkalinization reducing the stinging and burning pain and decreases the symptoms of the also decreases the favorable condition required for the bacterial growth. Condition in which over-the-counter products cannot be worked are either the patient is having the symptoms of fever, nausea, vomiting, pain or tenderness. It suggests that there is upper urinary tract infection, or there is hematuria, or there is a indication of any inflammation of the bladder. It requires then further investigation, and there is a chance of a kidney stone or a tumor in a bladder or a kidney, or high vaginal discharge is indicative of local fungal or bacterial infection. Then these type of patients should be referred for proper investigation of the cystitis. And patients belonging to the group of children, pregnant women and men are basically under the risk of developing upper urinary tract infection, and they are at a risk of damage to the kidney or bladder, and they should be counseled to go and visit to the doctors. Symptomatic bacteriuria is mainly very common in the pregnant women, and especially in the first trimester, while it may be happen in second and third trimester. While cystitis in men, it is indicative of the presence of any serious problem, including kidney stones or prostate problems. Cystitis is very less common in men as compared to women due to their longer urethra and the antibacterial properties of the prostatic fluid. Hence, if it is found in the men, then it should be referred to the proper doctor. What is Citralka? Citralka is basically is a product containing disodium hydrogen citrate, a urinary alkalinizer, and the main use is it is used in the treatment of gout and kidney stone, and it stops the production of uric acid and cysteine by reducing the formation of by increasing the excretion of the uric acid. It reduces the episodes of goutic attack and prevents the kidney to form the stones. It is in the liquid form, and it has to be taken regularly until and unless urinary tract infection symptoms are resolved. The most common side effect of this medicine is the stomach pain. It may cause diarrhea, excessive production of the urine, tiredness, and electrolyte imbalance. To reduce the symptoms of the GI upset, the Citralka should be taken with the food, and the patient has to take a plenty of water to reduce the symptoms, especially and the patient has to take or covered a hot water bottle on the stomach to reduce the stomach pain. Reduce the intake of the coffee, and it may have the when Citralka is prescribed, some over-the-counter product of the medicine should be used to reduce the pain. It decreases the potassium level and may lead to metabolic alkalosis, and increased urination may increase the tiredness. The usual dose of the syrup is about 15 to 30 ml 2 to 3 times a day, and it should be taken with a meal, that is with full stomach. The Citralka should not be used in the condition in which the patient is susceptible to the allergic or having the problem of high blood pressure, or having a problem of edema or kidney dysfunction, or if the patient has the low blood calcium level, then it is not advisable to take Citralka. The precautions should be taken are the intake of the plenty of water, and in case of pregnancy or breastfeeding, you should counsel the doctor before the taking of the medications. The product contains sugar, so it should be used with caution in diabetic patients. As what about the drug interaction of Citralka, and as disodium hydrogen citrate is a salt, it alkalines the urine. It may increase the elimination of some acidic drugs like salicylates, barbiturates by their urine pH changing and thus reducing their effects. It may also increase the blood sodium level, especially when they are taken with the drugs like corticosteroids. Furthermore, they should be used with the use caution with the diuretic, just like furosemide, as it decreases the level of potassium. Along with the furosemide, it increases the metabolic disturbance. And antibiotic treatment is indicated for the UTI. If bacteremia is confirmed using deficit test, along with these acute symptoms of the UTI, that is dysuria, frequency and increased urgency, flaying pain or back pain, then there is a tendency that bacteria or fungal infection is there, and it needs to start the antibiotic treatment. Patient having the symptoms of the fever, history of fever, back pain, and the possibility of the upper urinary tract infection is also there. So a urine culture should be taken and empirical antibiotic treatment should be started, and especially in case of pregnant women, the treatment should be immediately started as it reduces the risk of upper urinary tract infection, preterm delivery, and delivery of the low birth weight babies. So in case of pregnant women, in case of men, empirical treatment should be started and then consult to the specialized doctors. What are UTI pathogens? Mainly in 90% infection, E. coli is the responsible causative agent lead to the urinary tract infection, while other pathogens like Proteus mirabilis, Enterococci and Staphylococci along with yeast can lead along with yeast from the Candida species can lead to the urinary tract infection. The source of these organisms is usually the GI tract. The choice of drug of uncomplicated lower urinary tract infection is vary according to the local pathogens epidemiology and the sensitivity of the antibiotic data obtained from the culture sensitivity test. But on the basis of symptoms, signs and symptoms, 3 days empirical treatment of trimethoprim and nitrofurantoin stands for the first choice of the therapy. If trimethoprim is alone is not so much helpful, then we will switch to the combination of the trimethoprim with sulfamethoxazole. The symptoms also recommend that ciprofloxacin should not be used for the empirical treatment of the lower urinary tract infection because it increases the resistance with the overuse, and it is very good value in treating upper urinary tract infection. So for the empirical treatment, ciprofloxacin is not a drug of choice. It is reserved for the upper urinary tract infection. Another alternative are the cephalosporins and cephalexin and pivmecylinum are the choice of the drug. What are treatment choices for lower urinary tract infection in pregnant women? So this is a complicated condition, and the patient the urine sample should be taken for culture before starting the empirical therapy, and treatment should be guided by the sensitivity of the patient, and it is decision of the gynecologist that what type of antibiotic should be started. However, journal summary recommended that nitrofurantoin, trimethoprim and cephalexin may use as a first line of the first choice for the pregnant woman depending upon the culture sensitivity. Nitrofurantoin, however, should be avoided near to the delivery because of the risk of the neonatal hemolysis, and there is a caution of the use of trimethoprim during the first trimester because as it is antifolate activity and it may produce a teratogenic risk to the baby. However, short-term use of trimethoprim is unlikely to be so harmful and in the women of normal forehead status. However, it may impose the risk to the fetus to produce the teratogenicity. Another choices are the beta-lactam antibiotics like cephalexin and co-amoxiclav are considered safe in pregnancy. Again, quinolones are also contraindicated like ciprofloxacin because there is a chance of the development of arthropathy in animal studies.
Now the brief information related to the trimethoprim. As we have discussed that trimethoprim is indicated for the treatment of acute episode of uncomplicated urinary tract infection and especially of vaginal lesion. Its monotherapy is very useful. Basically, trimethoprim is a dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor, and it inhibits the synthesis of the bacterial nucleic acid and protein by inhibiting the formation of tetrahydrofolate.
So we can say that trimethoprim is the DNA synthesis inhibitor, and it inhibits the synthesis of the tetrahydrofolic acid. It mainly used along with the sulfomethoxazole, which inhibit the preceding step of the same pathway. So both trimethoprim and sulfomethoxazole act by the synergistic mechanism. It is mainly indicated for the urinary tract infection. Besides that, it is also helpful for the otitis media and as well as retinitis, and it is available in oral form as well as in common side effects are nausea, vomiting, change in the taste, diarrhea, and rashes, skin sensitivity, itchiness, and the more rare side effect is that there is a chance of development of thrombocytopenia due to the reduction of the folic acid concentration in the human. However, the sensitivity of the human dihydrofolate reductase is less as compared to the bacterial dihydrofolate reductase. However, there is a chance that they may reduce the concentration of folic acid in the human. It can compete with creatinine to secrete into the renal tubule, so it can also increase the level of serum creatinine, and they also increases the potassium level in the body by antagonizing the epithelium sodium channel in the distal tubule. So it behaves like amyloid. Furthermore, megaloblastic anemia can be caused. It is contraindicated in the hypersensitivity reaction and the history of megaloblastic anemia due to the folate deficiency. It should use carefully in the liver and kidney compromised patient, and however, it is mainly metabolized through the liver. In pregnancy, its use is avoided in the first trimester, especially along with the sulfomethoxazole because it inhibits the synthesis of folic acid, which is very essential for the development of the fetus, and it produces the disulfiram type reaction in the neonates and lead to the several teratogenic effects. And they are the inhibitors of the folic acid synthesis by inhibiting the competitive inhibition of dihydrofolate synthase, and the selective toxicity of the sulfonamides result from the inability of the mammalian cells to synthesize folic acid. So they must be take folic acid in their diet to overcome the side effects of this drug. When trimethoprim is used in the combination with sulfamethoxazole, it causes the sequential blockade of the folate synthesis. Clinically, the spectrum covering by the sulfonamide is the gram positive and gram negative organisms, chlamydia and nocardia. However, basically clinically it is used for the simple urinary tract infection and ocular infections, eye infection, retinitis, and in case of burn infections along with the sulfadiazine it is used. Besides these, other use they are used in ulcerative colitis, in case of rheumatoid arthritis, along with the sulfasalazine, and in case of toxoplasmosis, oral sulfadiazine plus pyrimethamine, a dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor plus folinic acid is prescribed. Inhibit the nucleic acid synthesis of the microorganisms by blocking the two conjugative steps of the synthesis of the folic acid. Sulfonamides, the example of sulfonamide is the sulfamethoxazole, and usually nowadays the resistance is now very common with the sulfamethoxazole. However, it is used in conjunction with the trimethoprim to increase its spectrum. Besides this, fluoroquinolones also inhibit the microbial nucleic acid metabolism and have a broad spectrum of antimicrobial activity, that is, they inhibit both gram negative as well as gram positive bacteria. Sulfonamides basically have the chemical nucleus resemblance with the para-aminobenzoic acid, and their pharmacokinetic property is very similar to this group, and they undergo the hepatic metabolism and excretion of both intact drug and acetylate metabolites are found in the urine. Side effects of sulfonamides are the hypersensitivity reaction. It is one among drugs which can induce drug fever, and GI upset is there, nausea, vomiting and diarrhea may occur. Hematotoxicity may occur because of the anti-metabolite activity on the blood, and they can cause granulocytopenia, thrombocytopenia and aplastic anemia. Especially these toxic symptoms more appear in those persons which are glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficient. They are nephrotoxic, and because they can change the urine pH at the acidic site, they can cause crystalluria. Another choice for the treatment of the uncomplicated urinary tract infection is the nitrofurantoin. Nitrofurantoin is a bactericidal antibiotic, and basically it converted by bacterial nitroreductases to electrophilic intermediate, which inhibit the citric acid cycle as well as synthesis of DNA, RNA and protein of the bacteria. This drug is more resistant to the development of the bacterial resistance because it acts on different targets at a time, and it is a second line of treatment when trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole combination is not worked. The mechanism is not very clear. However, it basically reduces the bacterial flavoproteins to reactive intermediates which inactivate or alter the bacterial ribosomal proteins or other macromolecules. These biochemical processes inhibit the protein synthesis, aerobic energy metabolism, DNA synthesis, RNA synthesis, etc. And basically it concentrates in the urine, so it is mainly the drug of choice in the urinary tract infection. Clinically, it is available in the form of two forms. It is available in the two forms. 25% is in macrocrystalline form, which is slowly dissolute and absorbed, while remaining is the monohydrate form, which is the 75%, and both are mixed in a single solution to form a capsule. On exposure to the GI tract, it releases the nitrofurantoin over a time, producing a concentration in the blood approximately 20 to 25% of the dose is appear in the urine unchanged in the 24 hours. Furthermore, remember that nitrofurantoin is not indicated for the treatment of pyelonephritis or perinephric abscesses, that is a complication of the urinary tract infection and or upper urinary tract infection. Okay, then we must know that it is given for 7 days for every 12 hours, and it has several side effects. Side effects are of GI tract like diarrhea, dyspepsia, constipation, emesis. Some are neurological, that is dizziness and drowsiness, and some are of respiratory, and some are allergic, and some are dermatological. But make sure that its respiratory effects make them a warning indication that if the person is susceptible to the respiratory complication, then it should not be used. Nitrofurantoin can cause severe pulmonary reaction, which may be acute, which may be subacute or chronic one. So these drugs should be discontinued if any symptoms of allergic warning appear in the patient. Chronic pulmonary reactions appear in those conditions in those individuals in which the treatment therapy goes from beyond the 7 days. Furthermore, hepatotoxicity and renal toxicity is also reported by the use of this drug, as well as neuropathy is also reported, which may be severe or irreversible. Especially in case of diabetic mellitus and in case of electrolyte imbalance or in case of vitamin B deficiency, it enhances the occurrence of the peripheral neuropathy, and optic neuritis has also been reported. Furthermore, hemolytic anemia is also reported, especially in those individuals in which glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency is reported. It also causes the Clostridium difficile associated diarrhea, and which is a secondary infection, and it is from mild diarrhea to the fatal colitis. Treatment with these agents actually basically alter the normal flora and lead to the overgrowth of the several colonic bacteria, and among them Clostridium difficile is the most common one, A and B. They produces several toxins, and these toxins basically responsible for the production of the diarrhea. So careful monitoring should be essential for the development of the symptoms, and in general it is not a carcinogenic drug. It is pregnancy B category drug, and it has not reported any teratogenic effect in the children. However, it is not advisable to take the children below the 12 years because clinical data is not available and it has several side effects. So on the basis of the side effects, it is avoided in the infants and children. Especially, it is not prescribed in the infants of the 1 month, of the age of the 1 month. In case of geriatric use, in most of the cases, renal function is compromised, and it is mostly the creatinine clearance is below the 60 ml per minute. So it is not advisable to take to prescribe this medication in the geriatric patients. In case of anuria, oliguria, or the significant renal impairment of the renal function, that is, if the creatinine clearance is below the 60 ml, then it is contraindicated because of the possibility of the hemolytic anemia and immature erythroid enzyme system. For example, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase in the late pregnancy. It is because in the late pregnancy it can lead to the onset of the labor. So it is contraindicated in these conditions, as well as it is also contraindicated in case of jaundice and hepatitis. Major drug interactions occur with the nitrofurantoin, and first is the drug interaction with the antacid, that is magnesium trisilicate. If it is taken with the magnesium trisilicate, it reduces the both rate and absorption of the nitrofurantoin, and basically it is due to the adsorption type of interaction in which nitrofurantoin adsorb on the magnesium trisilicate. Another interaction is that another interaction is found with the uricosuric drug such as probenecid or sulfenpyrazone that inhibit the renal tubular secretion of the nitrofurantoin. Renal tubular secretion inhibition lead to the increased level of the nitrofurantoin, and we know that this drug has a serious side effects. So if their concentration is increases, then their toxicity will increases. So it should be monitored carefully and should not be taken simultaneously. Fosfomycin is another broad spectrum antibiotic, and it concentrates in kidney just like nitrofurantoin and trimethoprim and bladder, and basically it also used to treat uncomplicated urinary tract infection. As fosfomycin reduces the nephrotoxicity and ototoxicity of the platinum containing drugs, so it is more safe as compared to the nitrofurantoin. The mechanism of action of the fosfomycin is that it is a phosphosphenolide pyruvate analog that is produced by the streptomyces, and it irreversibly inhibits the inulopyruvate transferase, which is responsible for the formation of N-acetylmuramic acid, an essential element for the formation of the peptidoglycan cell wall. So we can say that it is a cell wall and it inhibits the E. coli It is indicative of acute cystitis caused by the E. coli fecalis or acute uncomplicated cystitis in which it is used for 3 gram PO1s. It also helpful in the multi-drug resistance, and 2 to 3 gram per oral will be given in every 2 to 3 doses for the 3 doses, and it also useful or also indicative for the prostatitis. However, it is not indicated for the treatment of perinephric abscesses or pyelonephritis, and it is basically considered as the alternative agent if bacteria is present or reappears. What will be the drug interactions? It has serious interaction with the BCG vaccine and cholera vaccines and typhoid vaccines, and with the conjugated estrogen, digoxin, estradiol, and they have serial side effects, serial interaction. Beta-nicol increases the GI motility and may decrease the systemic absorption of the fosfomycin. So these two drugs should not be co-administered because it results in lowering the fosfomycin serum concentration and urinary excretion, resulting in the less efficacy. Another interaction is with cisapride, and cisapride may decrease the systemic absorption of the fosfomycin due to the prokinetic action of the cisapride, and it also result in the low serum concentration. So monitoring is very essential when used in conjunction with the cisapride. With metoclopramide, it increases again the GI motility and lower the serum concentration and urinary excretion of the fosfomycin. So increase the it has the similar effects just like beta-nicol. In case of procalopride, it decreases the systemic absorption. All these drugs decreases the systemic absorption of the fosfomycin. Limited data is available for the use of the pregnancy and lactation. However, it crosses the barrier, and it may present in the milk. It may go to the fetus, so it is advisable not to take in the pregnancy. Several side effects are there. In serious side effects are the toxic megacolon and hepatic necrosis, optic neuritis, angioedema, anaphylactic reaction, and hearing loss and aplastic anemia are those severe adverse reactions. While moderate adverse reactions are vaginitis, constipation, increase of the hepatic enzymes, jaundice, migraine, hematuria, limb adenopathy, pseudomembranous colitis. Pseudomembranous colitis is a condition which is normally present associated with the many types of antibiotics, and it may lead to the mild to life-threatening condition, and in the colon it is the basically overgrowth of the Clostridia, and it lead to the diarrhea. Other mild reactions are the diarrhea, headache, nausea, rhinitis, back pain, dysmenorrhea, pharyngitis, dyspepsia, vomiting, nausea and flatulence, etc., etc., drowsiness, fever, pruritus, allergic reactions. Methenamine is a heterocyclic organic compound, cage-like structure similar to the adamantane, and it is also helpful for the urinary tract infection. The mechanism is that it is not active in alkaline environment, and it needs acidic environment to produce their effect. In acidic environment, it hydrolyzes to formaldehyde, and formaldehyde is considered to be highly bactericidal. Formaldehyde has no specific antibacterial activity, and it just works by denaturing the proteins and nucleic acid of the bacteria. Certain bacteria such as Proteus species alkalinize the urine and inhibit the beneficial effect of the formaldehyde. So the key role is the component of the drug is the hippouric acid to maintain the acidic state of the. It is basically indicated for prophylactic or suppressive treatment for the frequently recurring urinary tract infection when long-term therapy is considered necessary. 1 gram tablet twice daily, morning and night for adults and pediatric over the 12-year age. About half to 1 tablet twice daily, morning, and is prescribed usually, and it is, as discussed earlier, its efficacy is more in acidic urine, so restriction of the alkalinized food and medication is necessary. Supplementation of the acidification of the urine should also be instituted. Side effects are the minor adverse effects reported, which are less than 3.5%, and there is no severe drug interaction has been reported. Precaution is there that caution is only be taken for the maintenance of the urine pH. The safety in pregnancy is also not established, and so it is not advisable in geriatric and as well as in the patient. High risk is contraindicated in patient with cranberry is traditionally used as a treatment and prophylaxis of the urinary tract infection. According to the current researches, the mechanism of action is that it prevents the bacterial adherence to the host cell of the cell membrane. So, cranberry is isolated from the berries of the cran, and it is basically easily available. Its juice is available, and sachets are available. However, problem is with the history of the nephrolithiasis, that is the presence of the kidney stones, then or the known allergen to the cranberry products, then it is not recommended or contraindicated. Adverse effects are not so much, however, these are mainly GIT symptoms like diarrhea, nausea, dyspepsia, and it is the main drug interaction is occur with the vitamin K. It enhances the anticoagulant effect of the vitamin K. So It is basically it is cardioprotected and it reduces the blood cholesterol level as well. However, if it is used with vitamin K antagonist, cranberry may enhance the anticoagulant effect of the vitamin K antagonist. Its use also it is advisable. It is used with caution in diabetes due to the increased glucose intolerance due to risk of hyperglycemia. What will be the lifestyle advice that can be offered to the patient with cystitis? A common practice is to encourage the patient to intake the large quantities of the fluid and to facilitate the physical removal of the bacteria from the bladder. And during the sexual intercourse, as it may precipitate the episode of cystitis, so or due to the minor trauma or infection is being arises in the UTI, so of bacteria being pushed from the urethra. So postcoital voiding of the urine has been suggested as a means of reducing the risk of cystitis, but not again. This is not the evidence base. It is just a suggestion. So the common practice is to encourage to intake the large quantities of the fluid, maintaining the cleaning habits, maintaining the good hygienic practice to decrease the bacterial burden.